Hello?
Hi. Okay, well, everyone stand and we're going to say the flag salute. You can see it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everyone to the class of 1997 Senior Assembly one more Saturday night. I hope everyone has a good time here today, and I hope we're all just here to have a good time, and I hope nobody takes anything personal. And we want to thank you for all your support that you've given us throughout the years, and I guess we're going to go ahead and get started.
Good afternoon. We're going to start with our scholarships today. And first off, we're going to have Byron White present the alumni scholarships.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here again this year on behalf of the Caldwell Alumni Association. Last year we gave out 2 scholarships, and we got to up our ante, so to speak, to $1,250, and this year we're very proud to say that we're going to give away 2 more in the event of in the amount of $1,500. I'd like to read this to our 2 candidates, and I won't tell you who they are until I finish reading the letter, but congratulations. You have been selected to receive one of the 2 Caldwell Alumni Association scholarships in the amount of $1,500. These scholarships are awarded based on your academic background, your course of study, and your test scores. This is quite a distinction that you have earned, and you should be very proud of yourself. And at this time, I'd like to give these 2 scholarships to Cayenne Whaley and Mike Rao.
Okay, we'll move on to the Lions Club scholarships, and Mr. Kenny Roberts will be presenting them today.
I'm sure that Alvin Genista would more than appreciate the fact that he could be here today to hand these out for himself, and that he was the one that originated these many, many years ago. It is my honor to give 2 scholarships, each for $500, to 2 very deserving people. Kelly Conradi. And Craig Idakevich.
Thank you. At this time, Kay Wolf with the Caldwell Janes will be presenting their scholarship. You have to talk right into it.
On behalf of the Caldwell Janes, I'd like to give our $500 scholarship to Brant Schmidt.
The Ladies Auxiliary to the VFW Post 366 is awarding a $700 scholarship, and this year it goes to Levi Gracie. The Thelma L. Fisk Memorial Scholarship. The recipient of this scholarship must have a minimum of a 3.0 grade point average, have attended CHS at least 2 semesters prior to graduation, demonstrated the ability to get along with adults and peers, and have shown evidence of the desire to learn. The recipient of the Thelma L. Fisk Memorial Scholarship in the amount of $200 is David Laddie. I want you to know these guys have been popping in and out of my office all day, and this has made this job really tough. The F.A. Petrick Scholarship. This scholarship develops from an endowment that was given by F.A. Petrick honoring a graduating senior. The $500 scholarship this year goes to Mike Rao. Okay, Mrs. Barbara Genista will present the Starlight Study Club Scholarship.
It's my pleasure to present a $100 book scholarship to Cayenne Whaley from the Starlight Study Club.
Thank you. The Betty Tidwell Memorial Scholarship. Betty Tidwell served the Caldwell Unified School District 360 for 31 years, from 1960 to 1991, as secretary to the superintendent and bookkeeper clerk for the school's hot lunch program. The many students who attended Caldwell schools during those years became, in many respects, a part of her extended family. Betty's support of student activities throughout the years and after her retirement was a reflection of her affection and dedication to the youth of Caldwell. A scholarship in her memory appropriately symbolizes the value she places on youth and education. The family has asked me to present this $600 scholarship in their behalf. This year's recipient is Kelly Conrady. The PEO scholarship will be presented by Mrs. Clara Ginn.
First of all, congratulations, graduating class of 1997, and also congratulations to you, their parents, because I know it's been a long 13 years. And through the support of your family, your teachers, and your community, you have achieved the position that you're in today. Every year, the Kansas Chapter DW of Kansas PEO honors 2 young women of the graduating class for their academic achievement. This year's honorees are Cayenne Whaley and Becky Calling.
Each year, the Caldwell Czech Chapter No. 1 presents a scholarship to a graduating senior. This year, the $200 scholarship goes to Becky Calling. In celebration of their 100th anniversary, the Security State Bank of Wellington is offering an anniversary scholarship in the amount of $200. This year's recipient of that scholarship is Carrie Akers. This year, the Caldwell High School graduating class of 1978 would like to present a $200 scholarship in loving memory of their classmate, Carter Thomas. The recipient of this scholarship is Kelly Conrady. The EduCan scholarship in the amount of $250 comes to us through the Caldwell United Methodist Church. This year's recipient of the EduCan scholarship is Jared Brewy. At this time, I would like to honor the recipients of institutional scholarships. These students have applied for financial assistance to the schools where they plan to further their education and have received such awards. The students will stand when I call your name. From Emporia State University, David Laddie has received a Black and Gold Scholarship. From Fort Hays State University, Mike Rao has received an Award of Excellence and the Fort Hays Bronze Award. From Coffeyville Community College, Kyan Whaley will be going on an athletic scholarship to play volleyball. For Southwestern College, they are going to inherit our own Craig Idacavage to play basketball. Then from Cali County Community College, and I have to say, guys, they send certificates, so you're going to have to talk to your other schools. Receiving a presidential scholarship is Mr. Jared Brewery. Receiving journalism scholarships are Becky Calling and Tyler Stover. I think this signifies the hard work these students have put out through all of their years in school. Okay, we're going to move on to the awards. We have Staff Sergeant Abbott to present the U.S. Army Reserve Award, as well as the U.S. Army Reserve National Scholar Athlete Award.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, seniors, other students. On behalf of the United States Army Reserve, I'm privileged to be here today to recognize one of Caldwell High School's class of 1997, Christine Hamilton. If you would, please come forward. Along with the other fine students receiving awards and scholarships this year, Christine is receiving over $23,000 for college at any college she should choose to attend. I've had the distinct honor of being a recruiter and assisting Christine in her goal of getting money for college. It takes a very strong and committed person, one who is not afraid to stand out among their peers to make what will probably be one of the most difficult decisions of her life, joining the United States Army Reserve. Caldwell High is fortunate to have such a fine student, and likewise the Army Reserve is proud to have Private Christine Hamilton as a soldier. I would like to present this check as a symbol of the money for college that Private Hamilton will receive. By joining the Army Reserve as a medical supply specialist, Private Hamilton will receive the Reserve GI Bill in the amount of $7,300. Along with that, the student loan repayment plan of $10,000 and a cash bonus of $3,000. Plus, on top of that, an average of $3,000 this summer for attending her training. All of this for one weekend a month while she attends the college of her choice. Private Hamilton, I wish to congratulate you for being a fine student and a soldier. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to recognize this soldier here today. You don't get rid of me that easy. I got two more awards to hand out here. Today I get to continue what's become a tradition here by presenting two of the school's finest students with the Army Reserve National Scholar Athlete Award. These two students have achieved the winning combination, excellence in both academics and athletics. They have achieved a balance that many people aspire to, but only a handful achieve. I'm happy to be here to give them this special recognition for their accomplishments. The United States Army Reserve National Scholar Athlete Award was created in 1981 by the Army Reserve to honor top students. More than 12,000 high schools across the country select students each year to receive the Scholar Athlete Award. So today's recipients join a long list of distinguished scholar athletes, students who are team captains, debate champions, student officers, community leaders, and Olympic athletes. Students who have put forth that extra effort to be all they can be. I am proud to have the opportunity to honor two of the nation's finest young people right here at Caldwell High School. So without delay, this year's Scholar Athletes are Levi Gracie and K.N. Whaley.
It's okay.
And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
The Dale M. Dennis Excellence in Education Award was established in 1996 by Kansas school administrators to honor the long and valuable service that Dale Dennis gave to Kansas education. Dennis, Deputy Commissioner for the Kansas State Board of Education, gave his career to serving and helping others in education. This award is given to a student who displays the qualities that Dale Dennis embodies: integrity, honesty, a commitment to serving others, and good common sense. This year's award for Caldwell High School goes to Kelly Conrady. At this time, Ms. Reese is going to present the Kansas State University Math and Science Awards.
Each year, Kansas State University recognizes seniors, outstanding seniors from the graduating classes across the state of Kansas with a Math and Science Award. This year's recipient from Caldwell will be K.N. Whaley. And Mike Rao.
Thank you. The Kansas State High School Activities Association provides a citizenship award for our seniors each year. This award is voted on by the faculty and staff of the Caldwell High School. It is based on excellence as an exemplary young student who has demonstrated a marked respect for country, assumed responsibility for improving school and community, and has shown reverence for life. This year's awards go to Levi Gracie and K.N. Whaley. The Presidential Academic Fitness Award was established to encourage students to achieve high academic standards by recognizing and rewarding them for educational excellence. This award is given at the exit levels from elementary, junior, and high school. In order to qualify, a student must have a minimum of a 3.5 grade point average and achieve in the 85th percentile or above on standardized tests. This year's recipient for senior high school is Mike Rao. Mike, I need you to come back up here. I had the honor of nominating Mike for the Topeka Capital Journal 1997 All-State Team. And this is your certificate, and there's also a newspaper article in there about you. Congratulations. The Kansas Board of Regents provides a certificate of recognition to those students who have completed the Regents' recommended curriculum. These are known as our state scholars. This consists of 4 units of English, 3 units of mathematics, 3 units of science, 3 units of social science, and 2 units of foreign language. Our state scholar this year is K.N. Whaley. Mr. Foster? I lost him. I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Karen. I have the pleasure of presenting the Principal's Academic Awards to any senior who earns a score placing them in the top 25% on a national college admissions test. At this time, I would like to present certificates to Kara Reed and Becky Collin. I also have the honor of recognizing the highest academic awards bestowed upon a graduating senior. These students rank at the top of their class, first and second, based upon their overall grade point average for 4 years. I would like to, at this time, recognize our class salutatorian, Becky Collin. And our top number 1 student in the class valedictorian, Mike Rao. Karen, does that conclude the awards? Okay, seniors who take over.
This is the senior class history. In kindergarten, St. Martin's was our stomping grounds. Beth Nolt was our teacher. We were the first class to have her. Dusty put glue on M&Ms to eat. Carrie gave Kelly a bloody nose while mousercising. Some of us were in Sparks, and we learned the alphabet by singing songs.
First grade, this year we were in separate classes with Mrs. Melliker and Mrs. Tyler as our teachers. Carrie fell in the toilet because the lid was up. We took buses to lunch. Almost everyone got chicken pox. Our favorite game in PE was parachute. Doso Dolphin puppet shows. Brant was the heartthrob.
Second grade, Mr. Sawyer poured glue on Chris Messing's hands. Brant and Carrie were voted number 1 Struble-Eddies. We started taking turns getting the milk in the milk room. We made crafts such as scarecrows and tin punch art. We made our butter and had a full turkey dinner to celebrate Thanksgiving.
Third grade, Mrs. Fitch was our teacher, and we had a reading loft. Kelly, Kim Hatcher, and Craig learned how to sing Celebration of Citizens in Japanese at our Japanese party. Carrie cheated for the first time on a spelling test and won a free pizza for 100% on spelling test all year. We hatched chickens and ducks as an unusual play trend developed on the playground this year. During recess, the girls would zip their coats up over their knees and hop around.
Fourth grade. With Mrs. Laddie as our teacher this year, David always got in trouble for calling her mom. We took a class trip to the Omnisphere. We hung out at the bike track behind the nursing home.
Fifth grade, Mrs. Schmidt was our teacher, and Cayenne and Becky were new additions to our class. Kara missed 1/2 of the year because she was sick, but just happened to be well enough for the Christmas party. At least once a week, the girls had to sit on the wall because they had been fighting.
Sixth grade. Mrs. Weber was our teacher, and Don Hull was our favorite substitute. We sang songs and made origami. Dusty moved over Christmas break. Every Friday we had a visit from a different police officer because Mike and Dustin would run away. Mr. Spencer, our principal, would dress up like a king and read us stories.
Seventh grade, we made the big jump from the grade school to the high school. We had a lot of first this year, such as our first dance and our first sport games. Brant and Jared started off our junior high reputation with several trips to the principal's office. At the end of the year, Carrie, Cayenne, and Kara made cheerleader. Carrie missed the bus to the basketball game at South Haven. There were many movie parties at Kara's where we had hand-holding contests.
8th grade. Finally, we were the big men of the junior high. We had Mrs. Hauber, the new English teacher this year. We were quite the troublemakers. During our first dance of the year, we got in trouble for dancing too close and for hiding behind the streamers. Mrs. Hauber turned off all the music and held us hostage until our parents came and got us. Track was a mischievous time for us, too. Carrie and Cayenne had to run the track with pole vault poles above their heads. At the next track meet, Jared, Brant, and Cayenne got in trouble and had to run a half a mile backwards. But of all the trouble we got in, Brant topped it all during English. He got suspended from class for doing his ever-famous cartwheels and for throwing things out the window.
Freshman year, we were again the low man on the totem pole. Our class split up into different groups or cliques. We got last place for our homecoming float, and most of us spent our freshman homecoming chased by seniors. We had our first taste of real classes with scary teachers like Mrs. Reese and Mr. Roberts. We again had a new English teacher, Mrs. Cornejo. Carrie Akers was homecoming queen candidate.
Sophomore. This year brought many new faces with it. Added to our class were Levi, Christine, Tyler, and Sandra, and several others who have since moved on. The annual winter ball started this year. Aaron Kane finally traded his bike in for a car. We received second place for our homecoming float. Our sports teams performed above average once again. David Laddie won the Mr. CHS. Carrie was nominated for homecoming queen candidate.
Our junior year, Trip and Teddy entered our class. We got second on homecoming float building. The boys' basketball team surprised the hometown crowd by advancing to sub-state at Emporia. After starting the year off with 8 losses and no wins, Kelly hit a deer with his mom's car on the way home from a basketball game. In chemistry, Jared had his own table at the door. Carrie and Kelly were selected prom queen and king. We went to Wichita for our after-prom party. Carrie was nominated for homecoming queen candidate.
Senior year. At the beginning of the school year, we were mad about closed lunches. We got third on our homecoming float, and we tied for first on the Battle of the Classes. Once again, Carrie was nominated homecoming queen candidate, but this year she was elected queen. Craig's truck popped out of gear and hit Brant's newly painted classic car. Russell hit a deer on his motorcycle. After many months of construction, we got our Main Street back for Christmas. Christine knocked Mr. Bocox's overhead projector off the stool. Carrie and Christine got up on stage during a concert with Gusto Lamas on a Spanish trip. Tyler and David started stealing a little too early and had to return everything. We attended Renaissance Fair, which was pretty cool. Russell stole some waste baskets and hubcaps off of Mr. Foster's truck and carried them into the auditorium as Mr. Foster, Mrs. Fox, Mrs. Fitzsimmons, and Mrs. Reese were meeting with the rest of the seniors regarding their conduct for the upcoming senior trip. And last but not least, as you all know, Brant Schmidt pulled the fire alarm today. I, Sandra Henriksen, will my ability to know when to be quiet and when not to be to anyone in need.
I, Teddy Doncheva, will Becky Whittam, my trapper keeper.
I, Cayenne Whaley, will my ability to keep my mouth shut to a certain upcoming freshman girl in need.
I, Carrie Akers, will my lips to Renee Williams. Christine, they're not on there. They're on a different
I, Christine Hamilton, will Melissa Wax my ability to laugh in people's faces, and to certain females, I will my ability to not think I am all that and better than everybody else.
I, Kara Reed, will my ability to know when to stay out of people's business and when to get in it to all those in need.
I, Becky Calling, will maturity to a few underclassmen girls in extreme need.
I, Angela Webster, will my ability to enjoy art to Carly Henry.
I, Mike Rell, will my ability to not study and still get good grades to anyone in need.
I, Eric Mandeville, will my ability to play my drums to my little sister.
I, Jared Brewery, will my ability to remember the javelins to Joe Struble.
I, Russell Morris, will the ability to have a good time to Dusty Volofka.
I, Brandon Schmidt, will my unique abilities to Jordan Johnston.
I, Aaron Kane, will my last can of primer to Dusty Volofka.
I, Trip Hamby, will my ability to Zach Johnston to drive good on muddy roads.
I, Tyler Stover, will my ability to sweet talk Lorraine to all freshmen in need, and to the senior girls to be a little bit nicer on their wheels.
I, Levi Gracie, will my receiving abilities to Big West of Orca.
I, Craig Ida Cabbage, will my ability not to puke at track meets to Joel Stowe.
I, David Laddie, will my ambitions to Ryan Miller.
I, Kelly Conradi, will my functioning big toes to Josh Vanek.
I, Carlos Aguilar, will my ability to speak good Spanish to the fifth hour Spanish one class.
Christine and Jared. Now for the senior songs. Carlos Aguilar is La Bamba.
Carrie Akers, Green Acres.
Jared Brewery, A Little Too Young.
Becky Calling, Jailhouse Rock.
Kelly Conradi's is Champagne Supernova.
Teddy Donacheva, On the Radio.
Levi Gracie, Return of the Mac.
Trip Hamby, Gone Fishing. Christine Hamilton, Show Me a Smile.
Sandra Hendrickson, Silent Night.
Craig Ida Cabbage, Mr. Big Stuff.
Aaron Kane, Speed Racer.
David Laddie, Let Me Serenade You.
Eric Mandeville, Little Drummer Boy.
Russell Morris, Cheap Sunglasses.
Mike Rao, I Can't Drive 55.
Kara Reed, School Days.
Brant Schmidt, Dazed and Confused.
Tyler Stover, On the Road Again.
Angela Webster, Already Gone.
Kyan Whaley, Can't Find a Better Man.
Can you imagine Carlos Aguilar not hitting on someone?
Can you imagine Carrie Akers not threatening Craig and David?
Can you imagine Jared Brewery without a fat lip?
Can you imagine Becky Calling not in court?
Can you imagine Kelly Conradi giving a definite answer?
Can you imagine Teddy Joncheva speaking loud enough for everyone to hear?
Can you imagine Levi Gracie not sporting KU apparel?
Can you imagine Trip Hamby going by Roger? Can you imagine Christine Hamilton without a speech impediment?
Can you imagine Sandra Hendrickson not reading a book?
Can you imagine Craig Ida Cabbage being quiet?
Can you imagine Aaron Kane getting his car painted? Can you imagine David Laddie not singing?
Can you imagine Eric Mandeville not playing the drums?
Can you imagine Russell Morris not riding his motorcycle?
Can you imagine Mike Rao over 100 pounds?
Can you imagine Kara Reed at first hour?
Can you imagine Brant Schmidt having a clue?
Can you imagine Tyler Stover driving the same car for a whole year?
Can you imagine Angela Webster at school?
Can you imagine Kyan Whaley not acting like Jesse Spano?
Check mine.
Remember when Carlos Aguilar put ranch dressing on everything?
Remember when Carrie Akers knocked Craig out with the frying pan?
Remember when Jared Brewy had to run a mile for his love acticians?
Remember when Becky Colling had blonde hair?
Remember when Kelly Conrady had an afro?
Remember when Teddy Doncheva fell down the stairs and pulled a muscle?
Remember when Levi Gracie wasn't running his game?
Remember when Trip Hamby went on a rampage at Float Building?
Remember when Christine Hamilton went a day without laughing? Neither do we.
Remember when Sandra Hendrickson told off Miss Hill?
Remember when Craig Idakavich was one of the shorter kids in our class?
Remember when Aaron Jones was in the gifted program?
Remember when Aaron Kane was in the math contest?
Remember when David Laddie was small enough to play in McDonald's Playland?
Remember when Eric Mandeville was the fastest runner in the class?
Remember when Russell Morris slaughtered his own deer?
Remember when Mike Rao wasn't the smartest kid in our class? We don't either.
Remember when Kara Reed had driving lessons in the cemetery?
Remember when Brant Schmidt wore his football shirt to the first basketball game?
Remember when Tyler Stover drove the moped everywhere?
Remember when Angela Webster almost caught the house on fire trying to fry okra?
Remember when Kyan Whaley didn't have a steady boyfriend?
In 20 years, Carlos Aguiar will still be carrying a Spanish-English dictionary.
In 20 years, Carrie Akers will be living in Winnebago parked in her dad's driveway.
In 20 years, Jared Brewy will be living the high life.
In 20 years, Becky Colling will be the hostess for America's Most Wanted, so she can pick up on the guys.
In 20 years, Kelly Conrady will have joined his family and work at the school.
In 20 years, Teddy will have her own talk show.
In 20 years, Levi Gracie will be an attorney representing Becky in court.
In 20 years, Trip Hamby will still have everyone trying to figure out his middle name.
In 20 years, Christine Hamilton will be a bounty humper.
There goes that speech impediment again. In 20 years, Sandra Hendrickson will be getting even with David Laddie for spitwads.
In 20 years, Craig Idakavich will be on the dream team for the Olympics. Yeah, right.
In 20 years, Aaron Kane will still be trying to get his car finished painted.
In 20 years, David Laddie will be in the PGA tournament as a caddy.
In 20 years, Eric Mandeville will be playing in a country band.
In 20 years, Russell Morris will be the next renegade.
In 20 years, Mike Rao will be the manager of Big Mike's Auto Parts.
In 20 years, Kara Reed will be griping at her daughter to go to school first hour.
In 20 years, Brant Schmidt will still be wearing his prom 97 t-shirt.
In 20 years, Tyler Stover will have opened his own used car lot.
In 20 years, Angel Webster will be at a starving artist sale in New York.
In 20 years, Kyan Whaley will be president of a feminist organization.
We got Miss Fitzsimmons' megaphone so we can all hear her in class. And we also got her a little gift from the class. Mr. Roberts? We got Mr. Roberts some fishing lures for his free time next year, and we also got him a pet squirrel so he doesn't have to go over to the library yard and check on him. We got Miss Hill a hat to show that she has a clue. Oh yeah, okay. Hold them up though. What are they gonna do to it? We got Mr. Roberts or Mr. Bocock some pills for what ails him and something to wash it down with. Probably went home at noon. Probably went home at noon. We got Mr. Sawyer a little something special this year. Here, take it to Mr. Sawyer. What do I say? We got Mrs. Bocock something to stop all the griping in her class. Trim all the nails. You guys are supposed to be handing these out. You guys just standing back here, you stupids. Oh, is this for Hug? We got Hug a little something to join in with the rest of his shop class. We got Miss Reynolds a shirt to wear tomorrow. But you can't open it here. No. Oh. What are they called? What are those called? We got some Chinese balls from Miss Wolf so she doesn't do this with her pencils constantly. Got Mr. Jameson a secure trash can, so I won't take it anymore. We got something for Mr. Burdette to hand out to the class. For who? We got something special for Miss Reese. Here. We got Mrs. Roop a book on spiders and a spider since she loves them so much. We got Mr. Roop a little cash flow since he only seems to have a $100 bill to his name. Mr. Sawyer, we've had a misunderstanding. You need to bring your gift back up here. Show it to everybody. Got a picture of inspiration for the rest of his class. And now we have Mr. Foster's real gift. We got some stationery for Lorraine.
Okay, we're going to watch our film now.
Down here too, so that'll. Sure.
Did you change the regular?
Just turn that one down there.
Okay, because I wanted it. Did you move it?
I did a little bit.
She'll take the painting in the hallway, the one she did in junior behind. And that old lamp up in the attic, she'll need some light to study by. She's had 18 years to get ready for this day. She should be past the tears, she cries some anyway. Oh, letting go, there's nothing in her way now. Oh, letting go, there's room enough to fly. And even though she's spent her whole life waiting, it's never easy letting go. Mother sits down at the table, so many things she'd like to do. Spend more time out in the garden. Now she can get those books read too. She's had 18 years to get ready for this day. She should be past the tears, but she cries some anyway. Oh, letting go, there's nothing in her way now. Oh, letting go, there's room enough to fly. And even though she's spent her whole life waiting, it's never easy letting go. Oh, letting go, there's nothing in her way now. Oh, letting go, there's room enough to fly. And even though she's spent her whole life waiting, it's never easy letting go. It's never easy letting go.
May the good Lord be with you down every road you roam. And may sunshine and happiness surround you when you're far from home. And may you grow to be proud, dignified and true. And do unto others as you'd have done to you. Be courageous and be brave. And in my heart, you'll always stay forever young. Forever young. May good fortune be with you. May your guiding light be strong. Build a stairway to heaven with a prince or a vagabond. And may you never love in vain. And in my heart, you'll always remain forever young. Forever young. Hoping that I served you well. For all the wisdom of a lifetime, no one can ever tell. But whatever road you choose, I'm right behind you, win or lose, forever young. Forever young.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming today, and on behalf of the rest of my senior class, I'd like to thank everybody for all the support that they gave us from kindergarten through our senior year, and thanks for coming, and I hope everyone will come and watch us at graduation. Thanks. Teachers can come pick up their stuff.
If you have a dream, see it through. If you have a dream, say can do. For if you have a dream, though hard work it may seem, find a star, shining star, special star, just for you. Grab hold of your dream. Keep hold of your dream. Work hard for your dream. Dare to be all you can be. See all you can see. Dare to go, dare to know. Dare to try, dare to fly. If you have a dream, see it through. If you have a dream, say can do. For if you have a dream, though hard work it may seem, find a star, shining star, special star, just for you. You can go, you can know, you can try, dare to dream.
Family, friends, faculty, administration. It's hard to believe that this day is actually here. It doesn't seem that long ago that we started this journey at St. Martin's, and now it's coming to an end today. Everybody's been telling me to make this speech short. But if you know me, you know that I usually don't have that much to say anyway, and I'm not going to have a long speech. To make a long speech short, I just want to thank everyone for everything that you have done for this class and for me throughout the years. I wish nothing but the very best for my classmates in the future. All of you are invited to the new fair building for my reception immediately following commencement. Once again, I thank you very much, and I love you all. Thanks.
Oh boy. Well, no speech would be complete if it didn't have the cheesy opening joke, so here goes. What did the graduated cylinder say? Now at least I've measured up to success. Okay, now for the speech part. I wish I could read all your minds and tell you what you want to hear, but as Mr. Roberts would say, I failed one class in high school and that was mind reading. I don't really know what to say about our class, graduation, and the future, except that we're finally here. 12 years ago, we started our journey. Some of us started it in Caldwell, at home, other countries, or other schools. All these years of school had prepared us for one day, today. Today is the final page in a rather large chapter in our lives. After today, we will be starting a whole new chapter. All of us have general ideas of what this new chapter holds, but none of us knows for sure. Some of us will leave for college, some of us will go to work, and some of us will just be. It's the uncertainty of the future that gives us the incentive to go out and make the most of ourselves, and maybe not. Many things could happen that might turn our lives totally around. Some things will happen that might not be for the better. As you've probably heard many times before, life is not fair. There will be many times in your life when something will happen and you'll say, that's not fair. Why did that have to happen to me? That answer is actually very obvious. The word fair carries a double standard. For something to be fair for one person, it has to be unfair for another. You will not always get the better end of the deal. Life is about gains and struggles. The more struggles we go through, the better the gains may seem. As an old saying goes, every cloud has a silver lining. Always remember that no matter how bad a situation may seem, it won't always be that way. It will get better. This advice may not work for every one of you or anyone, but it's just something to think about. Never lose hope. Hope for the future is what has kept humanity going all these years. Never underestimate yourself and your full potential. You can be whatever you want to be within reasonable limits. Even though we are graduating, don't forget that we are still kids. We may have more responsibility, but remember to have fun. Never lose the child inside of you. And when you do become full-grown adults, please don't make the same mistake that most adults have made. Give the bad kids, the rejects, rebels, troublemakers, give them a chance. Otherwise, they may not change. I wish the class of '97 good luck. I'd like to thank my class, the school, and the big town of Caldwell for making me feel at home here in the past 7 years, for the most part. If I ever become famous, I'll tell everyone that my hometown's Caldwell. I'd like to thank all our family, friends, teachers, and administration for joining us today. And on a final note, I want to say something to my classmates. This is the last day all of us will be together. We won't see each other at school every day anymore. I know that most of you are ready to leave and never come back, but before you do that, be sure to tell everyone goodbye. We never know who we will see again and who we won't. Well, I guess this is goodbye.
Very nice job, Becky. It's with a great deal of pleasure and pride that I announce today's commencement speaker. Dan has been in demand as a commencement speaker, having given a commencement address at his own high school graduation, and now today. I guess that's called being in demand. He told us his mother wrote his first commencement speech, and I don't know about his second one. I truly believe that you're in for a treat today as Dan brings his message to our graduates. Dan is blessed with a gift of motivation through public speaking. He is currently the pastor at the Central Christian Church in Caldwell, where license plates proclaim, "Dan's the man." His sermons and speaking engagements have been met with much enthusiasm and popularity. His ability to weave a variety of stories into his speech to make a point is extraordinary. Dan grew up in Tyler, Texas, graduating with honors from Robert E. Lee High School. In 1986, he was granted a Bachelor of Science degree in History and Philosophy from Phillips University in Enid. He received his theology degree from Central Baptist Theological Seminary in Kansas City, Kansas. Dan has been in the ministry since 1984 and has served Central Christian Church since 1993. In June, Dan and his family will be leaving Caldwell and moving to Omaha, Nebraska, where he will assume his new duties with the American Express Corporation. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a super individual who many of us count as a friend, Reverend Dan Price. Dan?
Mr. Herbig, Mr. Foster, Mr. Johnston, friends, family, teachers, and graduates. What a privilege it is for me to have been invited to come and share a few thoughts with you, and I assure you that I consider it a high honor, as indeed it is. Have you heard the one about the fellow waiting for a bus? And over in the corner of the bus station, there's one of them machines that for 25 cents, it will give your weight and your fortune. And he steps up on the machine and drops in his quarter, and the card pops out, and he picks it up and he reads, your name is Thomas Miller, you're 6'2", you weigh 200 pounds, and you're waiting for a bus to go to Akron, Ohio. The man was flabbergasted. All the information was correct. He couldn't believe it. Got down off the machine and he's walking around the bus station and he's thinking about what just happened, and he decides to try it a second time. Steps upon the machine, drops in a quarter. Just like the previous time, a card pops out. He picks it up and he reads, "Your name is Thomas Miller. You're 6'2", you weigh 200 pounds, and you're waiting for a bus to go to Akron, Ohio." He is freaking out. How can this machine know this kind of information? He gets down off the machine. He's walking around the bus station. He finally decides to try it yet a third time. Steps upon the machine, drops in his quarter. Just like the previous two times, a card pops right out. He picks it up and he reads, "Your name is Thomas Miller. You're 6'2", you weigh 200 pounds, and you fooled around and missed your bus to Akron, Ohio." In just a few moments, at the proper time in this ceremony, you're going to get up and you're going to walk across the stage and you're going to receive your high school diploma. It's a piece of paper that represents the past, because it says you just completed 12 or 13 years of school. Whatever the requirements were for you to be here today, you have met them. This is a day of celebration. It's a day to pat yourself on the back and enjoy this day. It's a day you'll remember for the rest of your life. And this afternoon, when you're standing there and your friends are coming by and they're trying to extend their warm wishes to you, you accept them and relish it and enjoy the day. Here's an idea, though. Pick out some people that had a direct influence on you being here. You know, like parents, guardians, administrators, coaches, but especially teachers. And you simply go up to them. In fact, do it with teachers. Pick out 3 or 4 to me being here today. This is fun, because your teacher will not see it coming and you will totally freak them out. And if you've ever wanted to see your teacher speechless, this will do it. Relish this and enjoy it. But if that piece of paper represents the past, it also represents the future. Don't spend too long relishing in the memories of past accomplishments. For you see, that piece of paper is your ticket. It is your ticket to board the bus of opportunity. And the question is, what are you going to do with it? Do you have a plan? Have you set a goal? If you set yourself some short-range goals and some long-range goals, it'll give you a sense of direction, a sense of purpose. And when those temporary defeats and those temporary setbacks come along, you'll know that they're just that, temporary. Because you'll still have your eyes set on the goal. You'll still know where it is you're going and you want to go. I was talking to a young man not too long ago, and he, like you, is walking the stage this month and he's receiving his high school diploma. But he looked at me and he said, "Dan, is it a good time to be graduating from high school? Look at the problems in the world. Look at the problems in our country." But I looked him in the eyes and I want to tell you exactly what I told him. I said, "Don't you realize there are opportunities because there are problems? Do you realize how many jobs, how many careers have been created because there was a problem? We have mechanics today because people have a problem with their car. We have doctors today because people have a problem with their health. And that is your golden opportunity to get in there and help solve some of those problems. All you have to do is you pick a vocation, something you enjoy doing, you can earn a living at, and you can help solve some of the world's problems. And you'll be a part of the solution and not the problem. If there's something else I want to express upon you today, live your life with an optimistic attitude. Be optimistic about yourself, about your life, and about your job. And I guarantee you will attract friends. You'll attract people to you. Professors, researchers, business gurus. You know what they're telling us? Recent research shows that your success depends less upon your circumstances, less upon what happens to you, and more upon your attitude. more upon your reaction to your circumstances. Is that new? We already knew that. The Apostle Paul said, I have learned to be content in whatever circumstance I find myself. They did some research one time. Can't remember the school. In fact, I can't even tell you that it's honest research, but let me tell you how it went. They took a child that they knew to be pessimistic and put it in a room full of toys, brand new toys. And they took a child known to be optimistic and put it in a room full of horse manure. I mean, knee deep. And they waited a while. And they came back to that first room, to that pessimistic child, and they opened the door, and there that child sat in the middle of the floor, and it was crying. They said, what is the matter? And the child said, these toys, they're going to have broken pieces. It's going to be no good, and you'll have to throw them out. And they went down the hall to that optimistic child, and they opened the door, and the child is standing, picture this, in the middle of the room, horse manure, remember, standing in the middle of the room, tossing the stuff about. And they asked the child, what are you doing? And the child said, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere. I speak for me, and I know I speak for many of you. I want my attitude to be about my circumstances like that second child, right? Let me tell you, if it ever is, you will attract people to you and your ideas. I want to close with the words of Thomas Wolfe. And I want to quote him the way he wrote it over 80 years ago. But I don't believe he's writing just to the male gender. He's talking about a certain seeker. Thomas Wolfe wrote this: to every man his chance. To every man, regardless of his birth, his shining golden opportunity. To every man the right to work, to live, and to be himself. And to become whatever his vision and his manhood can combine to make him. This seeker is the promise of America. And might I also add, this seeker is the promise of the Caldwell High School class of 1997. Thank you.
Coming from Texas, having went to school in Oklahoma, I don't know how you're going to get along with those people in Nebraska, but I'm sure you'll find a way, Dan. We have a special award this afternoon. This year we have two staff members who are retiring at the end of the school year. Rose Troyer, if Rose is here, would you please come forward, Rose? If she's not here, why? Okay. Rose Troyer has served as a cook and baker in USD 360 for over 25 years, baking the best rolls and bread anywhere in Kansas, and Rose will be sorely missed. This other individual started teaching in 1961 and is finishing his teaching career in 1967. Kenneth Roberts, would you please come forward? Kenneth has taught math in the Caldwell School District for 36 years. Many of you are talking out there right now that you can remember when he first started, and many of you can remember just a few years ago when he spoke to you in his class. Kenneth, would you come up, please? On behalf of the Board of Education and Administration, we wish to publicly acknowledge your contribution to the health and well-being of the children of USD 360. Thank you, Kenneth. We would also like to invite everyone to a reception for Kenneth and for Rose tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening from 5 to 7 p.m. in the cafeteria. Everyone is invited. It'll give you an opportunity to say thanks to these people individually. Mr. Johnson, members of the Board of Education of USD 360, parents, patrons, and students, I announce the 1997 senior class as having met all requirements for graduation as set forth by the Caldwell and Kansas State Boards of Education. The senior class of 1997 are eligible to receive their diplomas at this time. Would the members of the class of 1997 please rise and prepare to receive your diplomas?
Those of you with cameras are welcome to come down to the front of the stage here to take pictures if you choose to do so. Carlos Aguilar. Carrie Brooke Akers. Jared Dustin Brewery. Class salutatorian, Rebecca Lynn Colling. Kelly Shane Conradi. Thedora D. Doncheva. Levi Brett Gracie. Roger Hamby III. Christine Celeste Hamilton. Sandra Renee Hendrickson. Craig Robert Ivakavich. Aaron Christopher Kane. David Israel Laddie. Eric Michael Mandeville. Russell Morris. Graduating with honors, the class valedictorian, Michael Paul Rao. Kara Renee Reed. Brent M. Schmidt. Tyler William Stover. Angela Lynn Webster. Cayenne Nicole Whaley.
I used to think that I could not go on, and life was nothing but an awful song. But now I know the meaning of true love. I'm leaning on the everlasting arms. If I can see it, then I can do it. If I just believe it, there's nothing to it. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. I see me running through that open door. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. See, I was on the verge of breaking down. Sometimes the silence can seem so loud. There are miracles in life I must achieve. But first I know it starts inside of me. If I can see it, then I can be it. If I just believe it, there's nothing to it. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. See me running through that open door. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. Hey, 'cause I believe in me. I can see it, then I can do it. If I just believe it, there's nothing to it. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Spread my wings and fly away. I believe I can soar. I see me running through that open door. I believe I can fly. I believe I can fly. I can fly.
Carlos, Carrie, Jared, Becky, Kelly.
Teddy, Levi, Tripp, Christine, Sandra.
Craig, Aaron, David, Eric, Russell.
Mike, Kara, Brant, Tyler, Angie, and Cayenne. We can fly. We can fly. We can fly.
Will the senior class please stand? Change your tassel to the right. Turn and face the audience, please. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present the Caldwell High School graduates of the class of 1997.
Hey, this way. We're gonna go on. Around there, didn't they? Hey.
Jake, congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you for letting us be part of your celebration here. Good luck to you.
Thanks. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Congratulations to you. Good luck to you. Thank you for letting us be part of your celebration.
Thank you. Oh, thanks.
Cameraman's a little handicapped.
Nope. That's all right.
Congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you. Good
Thanks
luck
a lot.
to you, by golly.
All right.
Thanks for letting us be part of your celebration.
Well, thanks for being here.
You bet.
Thanks.
Until you get married, I promise this will be the last time I'll poke this camera.
Okay. All right.
Congratulations.
Thank
to
you.
Congratulations. Likewise. Congratulations.
Thank
to
you.
I'm
Good luck.
congratulating you. Same here, Bernard.
Thank you.
Your speech was good. Thank you.
Go ahead. You've got one more right there. Real important one. Congratulations to you. Good luck to you.
You don't know. He's in one of those rumbling stages. Rumble a lot.
Maybe. Hey. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Me? I don't know that. Thank you. I'm not ready to know
Congratulations, young lady.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting us be part of your celebration here, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
And until you get married, this is probably the last time this camera will poked at. Congratulations,
Thank
young
you.
lady.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thanks. I won't have to tell you what to do anymore now.
Congratulations to you too. By the way, you did really well at the after prom on wrestling. Yeah. Good luck to you in the service.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thanks.
Okay.
One more time. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting us be part of your celebration.
No problem.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Good luck to you. And likewise.
Thank you.
Take care. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Good luck up at Topeka, is it?
Hayes.
Hayes, yeah. That's my old home.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. And likewise, congratulations. Good luck to you. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And yes, congratulations. Nice job at the wrestling at the after prom. Congratulations, young lady.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thanks.
They're right there. I see them.
And last but not least, congratulations to you. Good luck to you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
And they're coming over. She walked in first.
Oh, I bet you. Word of mouth goes.